amazing activities that I had like an occasion to attend not long ago. So basically, Fulan is a Chinese teacher with like many years of experience, and she speaks fluent Polish, which is amazing. I think we have like at least one Polish person apart from me in the audiences. So like, dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry. Yeah, yeah. Fulan lived in Poland for about 8 years, if I remember
Yes,
well.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's impressive. And whereabouts was that?
Hmm?
Where did you live in Poland?
Where? Warsaw, Gdansk, Bydgoszcz, and Poznan.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
It's very impressive because like we should use English here, but I talked with Fulan. I had an occasion to talk with Fulan several times in Polish before, and like it's very impressive how you. So like in terms of learning languages, you have like a lot of credibility. But yeah, no, really. But also about how to organize community, because last time I visited your picnic, Mandarin picnic in Taipei, there was like over a dozen of people there, which was very
Mhm.
impressive for me to see. So like we would like to hear more about like your experiences in how to gather people to do something together and learn Mandarin together or Polish.
Mhm.
Maybe something that we could copy in the future.
Yeah. Hopefully. Okay, so I'll start sharing the in Taiwan is rather easy because the university might give them some like a learning buddies where they can meet people at some at some events and make their own friends. And in Poland, it will be more challenging. There are still some native speakers, like students
Mm.
studying Poland, but it's getting more. But in the beginning, it was really rare. Or I would say people who went to Poland like a long time ago, they might speak quite well Polish. That's why they went to Poland. So if our student were just beginner, it's also hard to communicate with them, like a by to practice Chinese. Okay, but now it's getting easier because the contexts are more. So it's pretty obvious that people who are more active to find local contact or to speak with the target to speak with the speaker of the target language would improve more. Okay. And then as a learner, so I learned Polish in Poland and also in Taiwan because I didn't stay in Poland for like 8 years in a row. So I might spend 2 years in Poland and then 2 years back to Taiwan. And because I knew that I want to go back to Poland again. So I'm kind of motivated to learn Polish, but in Taiwan, there's no one like speaking Polish. Also, not so
Apart from
many
me.
Poles, not so many Poles in Taiwan at that time. So it was very difficult to find a language exchange partner or to have any contact with people. So it's more like I had the goal, but it's too kind of vague. Yeah. And then I also learned Spanish. I started a few years ago, so I took an intensive course. So at that time, because it's intensive course for 1 year, so I have contact with Spanish all the time. And afterwards, my goal was to practice by myself. But then again, I didn't have any contact like with people in my life. Also, I wasn't interested in Spain or Latino America. I learned the language simply because I want to experience an intensive course. So before I started to meet people who also know Spanish or who's also learning Spanish, I know I want to learn it, but I don't have a very specific goal. So the improvement was pretty slow because I'm not so active in learning it. So that's my own experience as a learner. Oh, and back in Poland, so what I said, the first years it was hard because just hard to learn, hard to find someone to practice with. And then once when I was in Taiwan, I met a student who was actively avoiding meeting English speakers and only talk to Taiwanese. And I realized maybe I should do something similar in Poland as well. Then I don't hang out with my colleagues too much because everyone speaks Mandarin. So I try to go to some language events. At that time, I was living in Gdansk, even though Gdansk is a big city already, but back then there wasn't many language exchange events. So I met a few people, but not so many like afterwards. But that was my first like improvement in practicing the language. So I think from these, I just learned it's very important. It doesn't really matter where you are, though many people believe, oh, as long as you go to a place where the target language is spoken, you will be like you will have an immersive environment, so you will improve. But actually, it's about if you have met the right person, because the immersion comes, the right people, because the immersion comes from people, not just the place. It's possible you live in one country, like both in Poland and in Taiwan, for sure. You know some people who have been here or there for so many years and still barely speak the language. So it's about if you meet right people, and also, of course, if you want to practice by yourself. But the place is not the key. So actually, the community is more important. So that's our goal today, like how you create this no matter where you are. Okay, so because the reality is, for example, in Taiwan, many students will complain, no matter how good their Chinese is, and people see you're like a face, a foreigner's face, and they will switch to English. Yeah, or not Taiwan or neither
Yes.
Taiwan or Poland, neither Taiwan or Poland, but I think in some countries, I'm not going to name them, but they are more like a judgmental. So as long as you don't speak the language well enough, they won't talk to you in that language, or they will just give you a look that you feel embarrassed and you don't feel like speaking that language anymore.
You
And
think
it's,
in Poland or in Taiwan or both?
I think neither of them, Taiwan and Poland, are both friendly. Actually, I think Poland is a little bit better than in Taiwan, at least based on my experience. When I started to speak Polish, even when my Polish wasn't very good, people usually will stick to Polish, usually. Only a few people would try to speak English to me. I think,
Yeah,
but
right.
but I think it's also because I'm Asian, right?
Uh,
So people might suppose that my native language is not English, so it's pointless. I don't know if I look very American and would they talk to me in English. But in Taiwan, it's very common when you're a foreigner and people would just speak English to you. Also, actually, there was one thing interesting. In Poland, there was once I was in a restaurant and I think the waitress talked to me first. So she talked to me. She started with English. Then I replied in Polish. Then she switched to Polish. But at the end of the conversation, at the end of the ordering, she apologized that she had spoken English to me. She says, "So I'm sorry that I didn't know you speak Polish." But I think this wouldn't happen in Taiwan.
wow.
Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you speak Mandarin. So that was very sweet, actually. I was kind of like
Mm.
flattered that she even apologized to me. Yeah. So that was
Yeah,
very kind
no,
of her.
definitely. Like personally, if a foreigner tries to speak Polish, I would think like it's completely valid to give them that chance, right? Like that's why they're
Yeah.
trying in the first
Yeah.
place. So why just cut to English? Because like you,
Yes.
I myself, I don't need to practice English right now. So like why not give them a chance, right? So maybe it's this
Yes.
mindset. In my opinion, Taiwanese people hope to practice English with you. That's why they
Yes.
respond in English.
Exactly. And from the perspective of Taiwanese, I believe many people simply think speaking the foreign language actually is helping people, no matter how good your Chinese, but your Chinese is, but people believe you speak English. So still, no matter what, English is easier for you. I think many people have this mindset. So that's why I told my student, instead of complaining to me, because it's not going to change anything, I think you can say explicitly to the Taiwanese people that you're talking to that you want to speak Chinese, because they might be doing this out of goodwill. They don't know what you need. How could we know, like a foreigner here, want to speak English or Chinese? I cannot tell. Yeah, so I always said, like, you
If they
just tell
talk
them you
in
want to speak,
Chinese,
huh?
if they talk in Chinese, it means they want to talk in Chinese, right? I would
Yeah,
assume.
yeah, I think so. But some people just, I think because we have enough contact with people from like especially like a language learners, but average Taiwanese people might not. Yeah, but I cannot depend too much because in Poland it's the same, but in Poland it's easier to speak Polish than like to speak Chinese in Taiwan. But I would say it's just you can just speak, you can just tell them that you want to speak Chinese, and then you can complain when they stick to English. You can complain because you did everything you could already to let them know what you need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So the second thing is no immediate need in daily life. For example, when I was in Poland, I was living in Poland, but my job is to teach Mandarin. So actually, most of the time when I talk to people, I talk in Mandarin even. So not even English. So there is just no need. And most of the uh, Mandarin teachers like from Taiwan, because I went there, like is a program between the it's a cooperation between the Ministry of Taiwan, Ministry of Education of Taiwan, and the Polish universities. So most of us are not staying in Poland for a long time, usually 2 years. So most of people wouldn't learn Polish, and the university wouldn't expect us to speak Polish. So literally no need. You just need to survive in Poland, and basically you can do that with basic English already. So really no need in daily life. And another thing I found when I was trying to attend language exchange, no matter in Poland or in Taiwan, it's very common. There was just a lot of small talk. I think it's very good for beginners. When you can only do like an introduction and not much, then it's very good because it's like repetitive, very limited topics. So it's very good for beginners. But once you're at an intermediate level, then it's very difficult to have to be more engaged and like to dive in different topics. So the key is how do we find right people? Yeah. So the inspiration comes from Polish Cafe, which was in Poznan. So it's organized by actually I don't know how many of them, at least 2, 3 Polish teachers there. So it's just Polish only event, and we just sit in a cafe because it's cold in Poland, so you can not go anywhere other than cafe or bar during the winter. Okay, I attended unfortunately only for like 6 months because in the beginning of my like a residence in Poznan, it was pandemic, so it started 6 months before I left Poland. So this kind of events is like a low pressure and high connection because in this kind of events, all of the native speakers are ready to talk to foreigners. So they are not judgmental and they are like they are eager to know about other cultures as well. So they are like the most ideal like partners you can practice with. And also people would go regularly. So it's not like every time you go and might meet different people. Usually there are like some people just go regularly, so you don't need to do the small talks over and over again because you would just meet the same people, then you can talk about something else. And then I really made friends there, so which made the language truly a part of my life. And before that, it was pretty difficult. Most of my friends might be just my students or my colleagues. It's hard to meet some other people. And then I felt I'm part of the community, and I just felt like I could feel like okay, I could do so many things, making friends and hanging out with people and do a lot of different activities based because I met these people. And then Polish is not the language that I use to survive, doing grocery shopping or just meet people at the events, but also after the events, we just hang out together. So I feel a lot of like a sense of achievement afterwards. Okay, so actually before I attended Polish Cafe, I thought of something like this. I think it would be perfect if it's not like exchange. But I was thinking like who would come if it doesn't benefit them? But actually, obviously, there are people who are willing to come. Yeah, because they're just simply curious about like how foreigners like understand like knowing their country, things like this. So yeah, people are willing to help even though there's no obvious benefit from this to
So
them.
maybe people interested in meeting foreigners in general, but not necessarily in practicing English with them.
Yes, and actually at Mandarin Picnic, there are some people they came and they felt like is this really okay? Because my English is not good. Like this, and it's even better. Yeah, because if you think your
That's the
English is
entire
not,
point.
yeah, and then the student will feel very confident, like to speak. So it's a super safe place to practice the language. And when I was in Polish cafe, is the same. You just know these people are genuinely interested in knowing foreigners. So you don't need to be worried to be judged. But I think it's still better in Poland because Polish grammar is like a super complicated. So as long as you can make yourself pretty like clear, people would just be impressed. It's like if you nail the tones in Chinese, and people were like, "Wow, like really good." So
That's
yeah,
good to hear.
yeah. And so the project one was language walk, okay, but not the Mandarin picnic. So I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm such a person that I don't really carry things out. So the project one was language walk. So it was inspired by Philip. So he's a German. So he got this idea and he invited me to join him. We met at a Spanish table. So learning Spanish still changed a lot of my life. I met a lot of people because of this. And so at that time, because I went to events pretty often, and I also wanted to hike more often. After I came back from Poland, I feel like getting to know more about my country. I traveled a lot in Poland than in Taiwan. So I think I need to change that. Like I need to know my own country more. So one thing is about hiking because there are a lot of mountains in Taiwan. And then so when Philip got this idea, it was like a perfect for me, language and hiking together. Okay, but it's not just hiking. It could be a city walk as well. And because we still need to do the language exchange, so it couldn't be too tiring that you can barely speak, then you cannot do the language exchange. So usually it's some easy hike. And so the few features of it was inclusive and diverse. So Philip noticed most of the language exchange events in Taiwan are just Chinese and English, all of them. So it's kind of boring. And of course, there are some other language learners. So we want to make it just multilingual. So especially we want to support less common language. So usually we will have English, Chinese, and Spanish. And pretty often also German because he's German, and also French, things like this. We also, for example, as Taiwanese, I also speak Taiwanese to other people because in Taipei, usually we don't speak Taiwanese on a daily basis, but many people want to practice nowadays. And also I try to practice Hakka, like another Chinese language with some people who speak it. So we just want to...
Sorry for asking. Are you of Hakka heritage also?
I'm not.
Okay, just practice it.
Yeah,
Oh,
my mother tongue is Taiwanese, but I wanted to learn Hakka because I feel it's actually all Taiwanese people's responsibility to learn a minority's language. Because if we only expect them to keep their own language, it's very difficult. While the majority is not speaking them, is not respecting them, they won't keep it. So as Hokkien, I also need to do that. Yeah. So that's why I started. I also wanted to learn indigenous language, which is more rare, but so difficult. And like better to start from some Chinese language. It's easy. Like I listened to them a lot for like 3 months, and I can basically understand everything. Basic. Yeah. And in the beginning, I understood nothing, like zero. So still, it's a Chinese language, easier. So we just want to support all kinds of language, all kinds of language learners are welcome. And it's low pressure interaction because imagine usually at the language exchange, you sit down and you look at into each other's eyes. It's super awkward. But when you go hiking, you walk side by side. And also the silence wouldn't be that awkward. Even friends wouldn't talk all the way, right? You would just stop and just silently walk for a while. So it just makes everything more natural. And
that's
so
a very good point. Yeah.
It
helps with therapy. For some people, it's better to like do something together, shoulder by shoulder, to open themselves rather than have to face somebody.
Yeah, and the only thing when you were at the event like that, the only thing you could do is just to talk. So it's really awkward if you are not so good at speaking something. Yeah, and the third thing is active cultural discovery. Every time we most of the time we have like a different route. So even for myself, every time when I decide a new route, I'm discovering Taipei. So I really enjoy organizing it. Though I need to check the rules a few times before we do it. But yeah, I just enjoy the discovery. So when everyone's like walking together and you will see different things along the way, and this just sparks natural topics. And also you don't need to dive in a topic like for a long time you were sitting indoor, because on the way you might see different things, and so different topics will just pop up all the time. So it's not so hard to keep a conversation going because you can also switch very easily. Yeah, and it's interesting not only for foreigners to explore, because I'm a local, and there are also a lot of places that I don't know, or a lot of things that I don't know. So it's basically just fun for both locals and foreigners to explore Taiwan. So Mandarin picnic, so just a picnic version of Polish cafe. So as I said, it's a safe space. So it's very relaxed, non-judgmental environment and dedicated to Mandarin practice. Actually, my goal is all of the Chinese language, at least in Taiwan. So in the very beginning, I also wrote, like, if someone wants to practice Taiwanese, it's also okay, because at least I will be there. And also, I don't know if you know Sue, so he's Taiwanese, a German speaker. He also speaks like a fluent Taiwanese. So we also want to make it, if possible, if there will be more people, and there are some foreigners learning Taiwanese or Hakka as well, though not so many of them. So I wanted to be a place for practicing that as well, because most of the Taiwanese or Hakka practicing events might be for locals, which are for sure better than foreign beginners. So I think it's hard for them to find something to practice, somewhere to practice. And also it's a social lab, so you can just try the language that you are kind of not allowed to use in class, because like the daily conversation is pretty different from the classroom. So it's a natural but safe way to a safe place to practice. Okay, and for me, the power of a community. So from my perspective, when I was part of them, so first of all, I stay motivated because of the people I've met. So I said in the beginning, my goal for learning Polish is very vague. I know I wanted to live in Poland, so I need a language, but I don't really have a specific goal, what kind of fluency I want to achieve, and what should I do for that. But then, okay, and also it's kind of boring. But when you know a group of people, you just have contact with them, and you just also have natural contact with the language, and the languages mean a lot to you because it means the connection with these people. And the language becomes a shared experience rather than a solo study, especially in Taiwan. As said, I met a lot of people because of Spanish. So even though I don't think my Spanish is good enough, but I'm part of this learning community. It's also kind of like a form part of my identity, which means a lot to me. And then I'm more motivated to learn Spanish, even though I don't have any plan to go to any Spanish speaking country. And again, I'm still not so interested in their cultures. I'm sorry if anyone's Spanish speaker. So, but this is this is the situation. I still like the language. Yeah, but I love the connection with people. So it's more like I'm learning about or growing my interest in these countries through the people I met. So it depends on the luck, like who I'm meeting, and I'm more interested in knowing them and thus their countries. Yeah, so it's not the usual way. Okay, and of course, not everything is ideal. In the very beginning, because two of my events are outdoor, and the weather in Taipei is not that good, so I was very stressed. What if the weather is bad? However, I survived for 1 year, so now I'm okay with it. And I also have some like a frictions with Philip, because we have different ideas about organizing the events. For example, he prefers a lot of like involving some activities and some games, and for me, like I care more about that. Okay, we should have to like every 20 minutes for like two kinds of language, something like this. I want to make sure that everyone practice what they want to practice. Yeah, so we are not against each other, but we care about different things. And also the process of how the event should be happening. Sometimes we also pay attention to different details. So there were some time that it's my problem. He's always fine with me, but sometimes I'm not so happy with him. But later on, realize it's more on me, because actually every time different people attend, the attendees also care about different things. So for now, after 1 year, I think there's no like ideal, a perfect way or something that must do for the event, because everyone will experience it in their own way. It's more about the people they meet, maybe also the place they went. So we do pick places, but actually the process doesn't really matter that much. It's just the dynamics. So now I just don't, now I'm not so strict about the details now. So I think it's very important to embrace the dynamic, just let it happen. And also I think it was very good that I worked together with Philip, because if it wasn't this case, then I wouldn't think about other possibilities. So I think organizing events with someone else is pretty good. First of all, you will be less stressed. It's not, everything is not on you. And also you would hear other opinions. Even in the beginning, you might not like it, but maybe it's a good thing to show you something that you didn't think of. That's why I think it was good that I started language walk first with Philip. And later on, I know how it looked like organizing events. And then I finally dare to do this, because I wanted to do this when I was in Poland already. But after I came back, I didn't do anything until I was more sure like how it is like. Then finally I started. Okay. And so being helpful, another doubt I had for myself was, am I really helping their language learning? It's just like a people came and sit there or walking there and talk and happily left. So I was thinking like, is this is useful? Okay. And now I think the value is, the key is lowering speaking anxiety. Because yes, we do have a lot of opportunity to speak with people. For example, there are language exchange apps, right? But I don't know how about like you guys. I feel very stressed talking to someone new and in a language that I'm not fluent. So there are opportunities, but many of them are just bring a lot of anxiety to learners. At least like personally, I don't dare to try that. I also need to overcome that. So I think one value of these two events are like they are lowering speaking anxiety, because of the people who are coming here in Mandarin Picnic are open to listening to foreigners. And language walk by its like the way we do it is just more relaxed, because we are moving all the time. We don't need to talk all the time. And also it's building a sustainable habit through social bonds, because many people, they meet each other. If they had a nice talk, they will have like a contact with each other. So it's not only at the event, but could be throughout their stay in Taipei. Yeah, so I'm very happy to see like people meeting new friends, because well, back in Poland, I didn't have many friends. So it's good that I solved this
That's sad
problem
to
for
hear,
some people.
honestly. I'm very disappointed right now, and I'm sorry you had that experience.
No. I think making friends, it totally depends on your luck. So it's not Poland's
Really?
fault, or yeah, because you can meet a lot of people and still you just don't feel click with someone.
Maybe it's
Yes.
cultural then.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just luck. There are also some people who don't really speak Polish. However, I don't remember who exactly, but someone says she met her twin in Poland, but like they always communicate in English. But they, as soon as they met, they just feel like they're so alike to each other. So it just depends
Wow.
on luck. Yeah. So okay, and also creating a genuine human connection, because these events actually, I think maybe exactly because it's not 100% language exchange, because when it's exchange, it's related to benefits. And it sounds like it could be a zero-sum game, because you practice more, I practice less. But if in Mandarin Picnic, you're just there genuine to talk to people. So there could be more genuine connection as well. And language walk as well, because it's like a 50% walk. It's not just purely language. Yep. So my idea for now, so now I have less doubts in this. In the beginning, I think as a teacher, I want something which is accessible. Like I can see the outcome, but of course I cannot see how the attendees improve in the future, right? And we don't really track them. So now I think the community, the goal is like from controlling results as a teacher, it's more like to providing the ground. Okay, because I think it's like we provide the soil and learners do the blooming. So we just provide a vibe, the community that people that's basically it's lack of in most of the scenario, because I think most of the things are more like people want to see the results. So all of the things are more like a measurable, and community is not something measurable, but it's something that can keep you learning in the future, and you can keep going since it's a long journey basically. Yeah, so that's my sharing for today.
No, perfect. Thank you for that. It's very inspirational, and I'm also very interested, like how your experiences in Poland and like regarding learning the language, like shaped how you see it, generally speaking. And it's super well that you had like such a nice inspiration in terms of Polish cafe, as you said, because I remember attending something similar about learning Russian years ago, a long time ago actually, in Krakow, back when I'm from, in Poland, where I'm from, and it worked a little bit similar. They're just like people who like they just wanted to hang out and practice a language without much pressure, right? So it's all about
Mhm.
this. Usually they introduce like a rule that there's like 1 hour of Russian and 1 hour of Polish, and just like people exchange this vice versa. But you are very right that like this relaxed atmosphere, it's something that helps you create this human connection more, rather than like a very specific goal at every you have in mind. So that's I would very much agree on that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also, I would say the like my experience in Poland, I think one thing I learned is because the grammar is very complicated. So in the beginning, I could barely talk. I learned how to speak in restaurant very quickly because there are well, as the topic is very limited and the grammar
Mm.
you need to use is very limited, so it's easy just to memorize everything. But if I want to do like a free talking, it was very difficult because basically you need to change everything. So so
Mm.
you could barely start talking. And then I realized, even though I was a teacher at that time for a few years already, I should have known that. But that was the I think it was when I was in Gdansk, I realized, okay, if I want to speak, I just need to accept that I'm going to make mistake in every
Yes.
single sentence. Yeah. And I don't know if I have told you. So, and then I persuaded myself that it's not my problem if they don't understand me. Because
Mm.
I'm a foreigner. I try my best to speak the language. They are native speaker. If their Polish is so good, they should understand me. So it's not my problem.
I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes this kind of, like audacity in a way helps in life.
Yeah, so luckily, I also most of people are kind. Basically, when you're trying to speak Polish, people are kind to you. So it's more like about persuade myself. It's not like I've encountered so many unfriendly Polish, so I didn't dare to speak. It's more about the fear that I imagined
Yeah.
by myself. I think most of the learners imagine that it's like they don't have so many traumas yet, and they're already
Yeah.
afraid of it.
That
Mm.
they are being judged for the fact that they made a mistake, and then they just like feel they have to explain or apologize, even though like nobody's really judging them. Like
Yeah,
majority of places, people really appreciate if you at least try to learn a language correctly,
yeah.
and that has been my experience too. Also in Taiwan, also back when I was living in China, and whenever I went, although there's like stereotypes about like French people, right, that they don't like it if you make mistakes in French, but maybe there's just special in this regard. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
very much so. Like, thank you.